Namaste, my friends. My name is Sherry Sutton. I am your marketing mentor. I'm a business growth guide, and my clients affectionately call me their business therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist, but that's okay. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite business growth hacks, which is having a servant's heart. So, my master's degree is actually in leadership and organizational design, and we spent a lot of time talking about what are the most effective ways to be a leader. And one of the most important things I learned out of that was this idea of being a servant leader. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means here in a minute. So, first, I want to give a little shout out to my friend Gayatri. She has this amazing line of clothes, and it's called Designs by Raga. And this by Raga. And these cute little shorts. It's kind of like pajamas, but pajamas you can wear outside. So, I will put a link in the bio below if you're interested in learning some more. I just saw her at an event last night and spent way too much money. So someone please hire me this week so that I can pay for more clothes from the amazing Gayatri. Okay, let's talk about servant leadership. All right, I'm going to bring up my slides. All right. So, as you guys know, and as I've talked about quite a bit lately, success really equals being a customer-centric business. And it's funny because we all may think we're being customer-centered, but then when we really look at the things that we're doing, sometimes it doesn't look like it from our customer's perspective. And this is particularly true in messaging. And we're not going to talk about that here today, but that's something to think about, is that everything you do in your business needs to be centered on your customer. And we've been going through, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. We've been going through this chart over the last couple trainings, and we've really been talking about this model of customer centricity. And I've gone through a couple different components in different trainings. If you didn't see those, most of them are on my YouTube channel. So if you just go to YouTube and search for Sherry Sutton Marketing Mentor, you'll be able to find it. But I've been going through all of the different components on this. And today we're going to talk about customer-focused leadership. Now, leadership principles don't only have to happen if you have a huge team, right? You are the leader of your own business, whether it's just you, whether you have 4 people, whether you have 100 people, whether you have no people, because you still have to be a leader of yourself as your own employee, right? And so it's something to think about. How do I become a servant leader? But first, let's talk a little bit about what the definition of a servant leader is. So a servant leader is someone who prioritizes serving the greater good over their own need for profit or, ego or praise or whatever, right? In business, this means solving your customers' problems that they know they have and having that be the center of your business. So I want to point out one little interesting thing here. I've said that you're not solving problems that your customers have. I'm saying you want to solve problems that you know that your customers know they have. I find this happens quite a bit, particularly with coaches, service providers, where they go, they spend so much time learning from, their clients over time. And they're like, if my clients only knew this, we'd be all set. And so they create a program that teaches them this, whatever it is, but they're not ready for that yet, right? They don't know that they need that yet. They just know that they have this pain over here. And the bridge to get them from the feeling they have right now that's going to cause them to buy to the solution that you're giving them might be too wide. So you might have to close that gap. So when you're thinking about how to create products and messaging for your clients, you want to think about where are they now, where do they want to be, and how do I offer them products that they know that they need right now? Because the only way people are going to separate from their time and their money, which is how you're going to become a successful business, is if they know that they have a problem right now that you can solve. So Being a servant leader means keeping everything that you do centered around solving the problems that your clients know that they have. And I'm going to say this a few times in this presentation, but if you take nothing else away, I want you to take this away, which is you can serve and make money. Just because you are a servant leader doesn't mean you have to be Mother Teresa and take a vow of poverty, right? Money is an energetic exchange. You have something that you can give to someone that can make their life better, right? There is an appropriate level of energetic exchange for doing that. And that's all that money is. And then they can use that money to go help someone else. You can take your money to go help someone else. There is an abundance of money everywhere. There is enough for everyone. You can serve and you can still make money. This is one of the challenges that some people have with this idea of servant leadership. And there's a ton of examples of this. I will do some over the next week or so of like people who have been incredible servant leaders who really keep their customers at the center of their brand and what they need to do, and they still make money. Those don't need to be mutually exclusive. So, what is the servant leader? I love this quote. It's by this guy, Robert Greenleaf, and it says, "The servant leader is servant first. It begins with a natural feeling that one wants to serve, as opposed to wanting power, influence, fame, or wealth." And I find that the most successful entrepreneurs and the most successful and the most the leaders that you want to follow the most are the ones that have a servant's heart, right? The leaders that I have wanted to follow the most, they come at it from a place of being a servant's heart, of I want to help make your life better. Think about the things that you've bought over the last few weeks, and when you felt like, gosh, I really felt cared for in this interaction. I really felt like this person had my best interest at heart, and you were happy to separate from your time and your money because you knew that you would be able to, learn and grow from that. How great is that feeling? And you want to be able to give that to other people as well. So I want to talk, I'm going to do a couple things. The first is we're going to talk about servant entrepreneur mindset. And then we're going to talk about servant entrepreneur habits. So let's talk about mindset first. So my first mindset tip is really around building community. So you want to think of your business as building a community of people who have the same struggle that you can help solve, right? Because we know we can't do this alone. It's one thing that leaders do best and servant leaders do very well is create community. And I'm interchanging the word entrepreneur and leader now, but really it's the same thing, right? Being an entrepreneur is finding how to be a leader in your industry and for the people that you serve. And so you really want to think about how to build community. How do you get people together, right? Is it, and there's tactical ways to do that. It's a Facebook group or something else like that, right? Maybe it's an email list, maybe it's something else, but really looking at it as building a community of people who are like-minded. Another piece of entrepreneur mindset is seeking to understand your clients' needs and profitably solve them. So here's another thing that sometimes entrepreneurs and anybody gets a little bit confused about, which is like, well, if I'm going to be a servant leader, then anything my clients need, I'm just going to do. But that's not true. You still have a business to run because if you're not being profitable, you can't help more people. So if you help one person with no boundaries and you give them everything, you know that there are those people who will just take and take and take and take, right? So you want to make sure you have good boundaries, and you want to make sure that even when you're offering things, that they are still profitable, they fit in with your overall business model so that they do both two things. They serve and they bring in profit so that your business can help more and more people. A little hair that's right in my, excuse me, while I fuss on myself. Okay. But do you get that point of it's okay to be a servant, but not to be, I hate using the word slave, but use that, you don't want to be You can be a servant, but you can still have boundaries, and you can still only offer products that make a profit, because some customers will want you to do things that will not bring you a profit. And that's not what we want, right? We want to be able to do both. And so you as a business owner are constantly in that decision-making process of how can I serve the most people with the least amount of effort while making the largest amount of profit. And again, those things can live together. You can be of service and you can make a profit, and that's okay. The next thing about being a servant leader is really looking at yourself not as the boss, but seeing your clients as the boss. And they call that inverting the pyramid, right? So if you think about like in a traditional organizational hierarchy, for those of you who have, I mean, really ever worked in any kind of corporate America, right? There's the boss, there's the CEO at the top, and then there's his VPs, and then there's the directors, and then there's all the other people underneath. What you want to do is invert that pyramid, right? And the best leaders are the ones who say, look, I'm at the bottom. My clients are at the top. My whole job is to support all these other people who ultimately support my clients. Now, obviously, you need to do that within boundaries and within boundaries that are related to profit, but kind of seeing yourself that way, like my job here is to help everyone else to serve our clients, really shifts your mindset in a lot of ways. Okay, so let's talk about a few servant entrepreneur habits. So the first one is keeping your vision and your mission visible in your office. So I have and I forgot to grab it, but I have a printed out version of, here is my mission statement. My goal is to help to help women find their authentic selves through entrepreneurship and, find their true authenticity. I forget exactly how I said it, but I've got that, written up on in my other office. But also, the other thing I like to do is have up a visible reference of my avatar. And so one of the things that I do for my clients when we go through their strategic planning process is we actually will create a mood board of their clients. So we'll find a customer avatar, we'll talk about who they are, we'll actually name them, and then we'll create a mood board. It's kind of all the things we've got, like where do they shop and what kind of car do they drive, and just give you a sense of who they are. We'll find some stock photography, maybe even clients who you've worked with before who are like, I want more of these kinds of people. But by actually printing that out and putting it up on your board, every day you can look at it and say, okay, this is who I serve. This is whose life I'm trying to make better. But having those really visible, or at least going back and checking on them pretty regularly. I actually I'm working through the 12-week year, and I'm excited. I'm going to teach you guys this probably in Q4, Q1. But I have 3 goals for the quarter, and I actually create a sheet where I have like, here's the goal and here's the tactics. And then for each of those, I actually have a picture of someone who looks like my ideal client. Again, it's a way of humanizing and making sure that I can see them, right? This is who I'm trying to serve. This is who I'm trying to serve. So it's not just about me and my profit motives or my ego motives. It's about my need and desire to serve my client. My second habit for servant entrepreneurs is check in regularly with your clients. And I did a training on this. I think it was 2 weeks ago, on how to grow your business, ask your clients what they want. Go check out that training, because it's a really valuable way to make sure you are always staying in touch with what your clients know they want. Remember, there's a difference between what you think they want and what that they know that they need and they're willing to pay for. Now, those will always connect at some point, but sometimes what you think they need is a little bit too far advanced of what they're willing to do, right? And so you might want to offer them something else, or just change the wording of it to meet them where they are now. We talk about that in that training. Okay, servant entrepreneur habit number 3 is when doing your daily task list. So most of us will do a like, here's my schedule for the day, and you want to check it with your goals, right? Am I spending enough time on all my things? But I always ask myself, when what can I do today to make my clients' lives better? And the cool thing is, I can also use that as a way to then create content for that day, because we'll be like, okay, what can I tell my clients today that's going to make their lives better? And I use that as fuel for my lives, my reels, those types of things. I might also use it as a, hey, gosh, I was talking to a client yesterday and heard this quite a bit, and they really need a journal prompt for this. Let me go make a quick, a journal prompt for that, put it out in my group, offer it out there. But I always try to take a few minutes to say, how can I be of service to my clients right now and help them to be a little bit better? And that not only sets my mood correctly, sets my calendar correctly so that my time is being focused on my clients, but it also gives me ideas for content that I can give to people on all of my places, right? If that's a podcast, social media, email marketing, whatever you're doing to drive your business, it's a great way to get new content ideas. And that's a training for another day on how to build new content ideas. And I'm sure I've got multiple trainings on that out on my YouTube channel, but just something to think about, right? Sitting down saying, really, what does my client need to know today? Okay, and I think this is my last servant habit, is tell stories that your customers can identify with. This can be your client stories, like other client stories, obviously with their permission if you use their name, or you can be just very generic. Again, this serves a couple different purposes. One, it helps your clients to understand, oh, okay, yes, I have this struggle and here's how I can solve it, right? By working or with this person or buying from this person or whatever it might be. They can see themselves in those stories. Sometimes if you just talk about your product, they can't see how that relates to them, right? But when you tell it as a story, when you tell it as, I met this person and they were struggling with this and we helped them this way, it really helps people to connect with it, right? It's sometimes hard for your customers to, again, see where they are now and connect it with your client, with your products, unless you tell it from a perspective of your client stories, and even more powerful, of your stories, right? I'll tell you about this a little bit more in a minute, but I just started this podcast and it's called Bosses with Baggage. And my goal with that podcast is really to help leaders and servant leaders to share their stories of their dark nights of the soul and how it has helped them to become their more authentic selves, and how it's created or caused them to create products that help other people who are in the same situation, right? And so doing that within your business, sharing, let's say you have a skincare line, right? Sharing, how you always struggled with acne. And so you created this line to help with that. Or if you're a fashion designer, right? You could talk about like, hey, I had kids and now I have a little poof. Here's, I created this line of dresses that's really flattering on the middle, or here's ways to do those things. It's telling stories that your customers can identify with. And again, not only does this help your customers, and it helps, to understand your product and hopefully buy more of your product, it's also a great way to find content advice. And one of the things that I have as an upcoming training for you guys is talking about keeping a journal of your client challenges. I'm actually going to put together a page for you where you can track your client challenges throughout the day. Then how do you solve them? And that I promise you, I do that all the time. I write down, I do it on Post-its. I need my own journal that I'm going to create for you guys. But, oh, this is a great challenge, or, oh, this is something great that somebody said. That's the best place to find fodder for your content, because I know you all struggle with content. You tell me every single day. I promise you, just by talking to your clients about what are their challenges and how are we solving them, you've got content all day long just by being around your customers. And remember, again, if you don't take anything else out of this training, you can serve and make money. They are not mutually exclusive. And that is okay. And if you have any weirdness about that or anything's coming up, set up some time with me. Let's sit down, let's talk it through, because sometimes it's just a limiting a belief that you have, or something from your past that's sort of stuck, right? It's sometimes just programming that we just need to really unpack and uncover and kind of look at and say, do I want to believe this anymore? Because you really can serve and you can still make money. So I hope that this was super helpful for you. If you are ready to build the business of your dreams, show up in your marketing in a whole new way, show up in your business in a whole new way, and to be a true servant leader, I would love to work with you. I have a one-on-one coaching program that is really incredible. It's primarily 3 months. We start the first month where we do all of your marketing strategy. So who are you talking to? Where are they now? Where do they want to be? What are the products you're going to offer them? What are the key messages? And then how are you going to find them? An exact list of the marketing tactics that you're going to do to drive new business. Then we continue to meet together, usually for another 2 months, sometimes weekly, sometimes every other week. And we'll just keep talking about it, right? What are the things that are coming up for you? What are the things you need to know how to do in order to create the content that you need to grow your business, or to show up at, maybe you got invited to speak and you're completely scared to speak. You and I can sit down and do a training on that. Whatever you need to be able to show up fully and drive your business. And also, if you're not quite ready for a long coaching program, I've got a couple smaller things that we can do. Just 90 minutes, right? The first one is a social media content planning session. It's a 90-minute session. It's a great way if you already really understand your client, you already really understand what you need to do, but you're just like, sometimes you sit down and there's a blank piece of paper and you're like, I don't know how to create a calendar out of this. I promise you, I am a content generation machine and an idea generation machine. In 90 minutes, we will come up with a month's worth of content for you. The other thing is, if you are doing a lot of things in your marketing, but you feel like nobody's buying, it might be your messaging. So let's sit down together. Again, 90-minute session. We'll do a messaging makeover where we'll really look at your messaging and see if you are talking to your clients in a way that they can understand. And often this is very difficult for the entrepreneur to see for themselves. Even for me, I love the saying, you can't see the label from inside the bottle. And this is very true of our messaging. So having somebody like me who's created messaging for hundreds and hundreds of companies, thousands of different product offers, I can promise you I can help you kind of see how to make some small shifts in your content that will really make a big difference. I had a client recently who we went through this process. She's doing a 3-month coaching program, but we did this process and she increased her views or her membership in her group by 3x in a couple weeks. It was crazy, but it was just from a little shift in her messaging. You guys are mostly already in this group, but if you're not, join, please. It is my free Facebook group. We do all sorts of cool trainings in there. I've got guest speakers. We have co-working sessions. We have networking meetings. I do these trainings in that group. I'm in there pretty much every single day. Come on over. It's the best place to learn how to grow your business with both profit and purpose and without driving yourself crazy. And I told you a little bit earlier about my new podcast, Bosses with Baggage, where we tell stories of entrepreneurs and their journey through some dark night of the soul and how it's moved them to a life of service. It has been an incredible journey for me to start this podcast. We've actually just have one episode up and the rest are coming soon. The guests I have coming up are amazing. I'm so blessed. You're going to love them. You're going to learn so much. Go check it out. It's at all the places where you listen to podcasts and also on YouTube. And I hope that this was super helpful for you. Here is all my contact information. I would love to chat with you. If you go to my website, you can set up, there's a free 20-minute audit on there. There's a 45-minute consult. If you want to talk about maybe ways we could work together, if you know you want to set up a 90-minute session, you can do that. All sorts of things are available there, or you can just direct message me on any of the social places. And I hope that this was super helpful for you. If you have other topics that you would like for me to be talking about in the future, please direct message me or send me an email. I do these for you. I practice what I preach. I am a servant leader. I am here to help you to grow your businesses. So please let me know what you need in order to do that. I hope you have a fabulous day. Mwah. Thanks so much.